All right, so welcome to Sunday morning, and thanks to Jerry for running both ends of the show. Appreciate it very much. And welcome to our friends online and our community online. Thanks for joining us today. So, our opening prayer today, as we come together today as a community, let us gather with deep gratitude in our hearts, gratitude that we are safe, gratitude that we have each other, and gratitude that our basic needs are met. And with the spirit of love and the message touching our hearts, may we feel restored and enlightened. And so it is. And I welcome Jerry from the other side of the monitor up to the podium.
People, we have audio. All right. Good morning again. Good morning. All right, we're going to get the technology going here this morning. And good morning. Hello to our friends online. Thank you so much for being here with us in community today. We're really glad you could be here. So this morning's talk came out of a recent real life moment for me. It's not something that I planned. It's not something that I'd studied like often I bring. It's just one of those days where life felt really out loud and demanding, and I had one of those for the love of God moments in real life. I just caught myself saying that. And what happened next really, really surprised me because instead of things getting fixed on the outside, something really stirred and changed profoundly on the inside. And so what I want to share today isn't really a lesson or a belief system so much as it is a lived experience and a remembering of where we actually live, where we actually are when things feel overwhelming, and how that remembering can change the way that we move through our days. For the love of God. How many times have you said that, right? Or at least thought something like that? Face palm, looking in the sky, why me? Whatever that looks like. For the love of God, why can't we just stop for a second, right? For the love of God, enough already. Whatever it is that's out there. And we say this out of exasperation. We say it when we've reached our limits, right? We say things like this when something feels unreasonable, when something is overwhelming, or just too much. And what's interesting to me is that even though we're invoking God in some way with this language, we don't often say it in moments of peace with the same passion. We don't whisper it on a cold morning on the mountainside with a cup of coffee. Oh, for the love of God. Right? It doesn't come out that way. No, we say it when we're pushed. We say it when we're stretched thin, right? We say it when the noise won't stop. For the love of God has become a phrase that we use when we're at the end of our patience or when our will is stretched too far. And maybe that should really tell us something because many of us are living that way more often than we realize. We wake up in the morning already behind. I do. I wake up in the morning already checking in on something, already responding to something, already trying to think ahead of whatever it is that's coming next. And before we even take an easy breath in the morning, the world is already tapping on our doors for attention too, isn't it? Our phones are buzzing, our inboxes are already filling up. The news is alerting us. Ads follow us and algorithms decide what to feed us. And opinions come at us from every direction. And it's not just information either now, is it? It's also expectation. Be productive, be informed, be successful, be available, be this, think this way, do that, be outraged, pick a side, defend it. For the love of God, how did we forget just how to be? Well, we're pulled outward constantly, right? Our attention is divided. Our energy often is fragmented, and our nervous systems are living on the edge right now. And especially right now, there's another additional layer to it all, right? Layer of division. And politics and social influences, they don't just live in Washington or sit on our television anymore. They're in our pockets. They're in our faces. A constant pressure exists for us to compare ourselves to one another, but it's without tolerance or understanding. It's without compassion and appreciation. And it's exhausting. And here's the thing. I don't think that most of us are angry or frustrated or grumpy because we're bad people. And I don't think that many of us drink or hide in addiction or act out because they're bad people or undeserving. I just think we're tired. I think we're overwhelmed. I think we're saturated by noise and looking for a purpose and direction. And when we say things like, for the love of God, or some other colorful version of that, maybe, maybe it's a cry. Maybe it's something coming from inside, a cry for perspective, a cry for grounding, maybe even a cry to reach out for faith so that I can let that thing go. Because underneath all that exasperation, I think, is a deeper longing, right? I think it's a longing to remember who we really are. We get far from that, I think. I think it's a longing to remember what matters and to reclaim it. I think we wish to remember that we belong to something more spacious than that tight feeling chaos that we're in that moment. And maybe, just maybe, we toss that phrase around in a way that was never meant to be. Maybe it wasn't meant to be a curse or a complaint. Maybe it was an invitation. Maybe it's an invocation to bring us closer to God. So if you, like me, have been feeling inexplicably tired lately, and I don't just mean physically tired, I mean emotionally tired, energetically exhausted, I want to say this clearly. I really don't think that's because we're lazy. I don't think it's because we're unmotivated or broken or need fixing in some way. We're depleted. I think it's because attention is not just a mental act. Attention is our energy, and we're giving it away. And where our attention goes, what happens? Energy flows, right? Energy flows where our attention goes, exactly. And where our energy flows repeatedly, what happens? Our lives begin to form around it. This is the most fundamental form of manifestation. And every notification that we respond to, every argument that we replay in our mind, every comparison we make, every headline we respond emotionally to, that's all cutting a rut for that familiar thing for us to form our lives around, isn't it? I respond the same way often to the same news that I see. And it all costs energy. And most of us are spending our energy every day in ways that we didn't even mean to. We're reacting more than we create. I believe we're consuming more than we can digest. Think about this. How many Facebook posts or Instagrams or feeds do you think you might browse through in 15 minutes? 100? 200? Maybe 3, right? Now think of this. How much of that information do we actually digest and put to use? And how much of it, by contrast, is just nutritionally void? Well, one of our greatest powers, right, is the power of choice. We've looked at that on Wednesday. We're studying choice and power and will in the men's group. It's important to us. And so often we make just quick choices, powerless choices to avoid discomfort instead of making powerful choices to pursue our joys. And the result is that today, I think many people are carrying right now mental exhaustion, emotional fatigue, loneliness, decision burnout. And that's why small choices feel heavy, why simple conversations can be draining, and why rest might not even feel restful anymore. And there's a subtle trap behind it all too, and that's this. Eventually, by making these powerless choices to avoid discomfort, we'll give up so many powerful choices in avoidance that we won't even notice we've given away our joy. We've given away that power. And the world outside has learned how to use it. And monetize that, don't they? Yeah, not just our money, taking it from shopping, right? They take our focus. They take our moods. They take our outrage and our fear. It's become currency. And from a deeper perspective, call it spiritual or call it quantum, call it scientific truth even, energy doesn't disappear, does it? Can energy be created? No. Can it be destroyed? No. Energy moves, changes form, like money. And so when our attention is fragmented, when our energy is fragmented, we feel anxious, unstable, vulnerable, and tired, even when nothing bad is happening. And that exasperated phrase comes to mind again. For the love of God, that's our soul crying out, I can't live like this anymore. I can't live outside myself like this. I need to come home. And so, given that attention is energy, and that our energy has become scattered, and the real question for me becomes, where does it end up? How can I get it back? Where do I reclaim it? Well, I think it returns to source, to creator. I think it returns to God. And in that way, I think it's still available. For some people, the word God brings tension, and for others, great comfort. And I just want to be clear that today, when I'm speaking about God, I'm not talking about a distant being keeping score. I'm not talking about a voice demanding perfection. I'm not talking about something outside of us that we have to earn our way back to. What if God isn't that great being on a throne, right, answering prayers based on, his judgment of how worthy we are of whatever our prayer might measure to, but the source of all energy, the place where it all returns, the infinity. Across wisdom traditions and lived experiences, we see a pattern emerge. There's underlying order. There is a balance. There is cohesion holding everything together. And for as much chaos as we do see in this world, they sure do like to put it in front of us, there's an equal measure of peace present. We have to keep this in mind, whether we notice it or not. Peace doesn't work very well for the influences in American politics right now, so we're not going to see a whole lot of it. But it exists, and peace requires faith. And faith isn't pretending that things are not messy. Things are messy right now. Faith is trusting, okay? Faith is trusting that the mess isn't the whole story. It's not the whole story. And when we see God not as a judge, but as a field of energy, when we see God not as demand, but as presence, something can soften inside us. We stop fighting so hard, and we might even surrender to something that we can find some faith in. And so, back to Thursday last week. I want to tell you why this landed here. And Dick gave me a little bit of fun the other day because I think I'd written probably 2 full messages before running across this one on Thursday because for the love of God, I had one of those moments I had to share. So it was about noon, okay? It was a busy, busy day at work. What I call them machine gun days, when things are just boom, boom, boom coming at me. Probably noon. I've had, I've had my fat and my sugar in the form of coffee, probably by then. So you can imagine it's been a day. And I just couldn't get anything done. And I felt that chemistry creeping up. And I had to step away from my office. I had to step away. And I went into the private bathroom at the shop. There is one there. And I gripped onto the handicap rail and I wanted to tear it off the wall. And I said something more colorful than for the love of God. But that was the intention. I could feel my heartbeat rising. And my chemistry, like I said, it was pumping, man. Just give me 30 minutes to get something done that's on my list today. And then something really unexpected happened. Out of nowhere, my attention shifted. I didn't even do it on purpose. And suddenly, clear images and clear, crystal clear feelings came to me of being in a loving embrace with my wife. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't romanticized, but it was real. Real. The comfort of her hair on my shoulder, the feeling of her skin on my cheek, just the knowing of how right that is. And this deep, unmistakable knowing of how completely loved I am when we're in that embrace and away from it. My attention went there. Sorry, I would get a little choked up. As my attention went there, I really became aware of my body because I could feel a shift, visceral. And I've talked about this before. I think I've even spent some time on it, how we can feel the chemistry approach and ebb and flow in our bodies. And in that moment, it was like someone had just rinsed me off in cool water. It was amazing. No splash. It was graceful and beautiful. Like a calm, like a line. Oh, that's it. Like a line on a thermometer. Boom, just going down. Whoa. Just releasing all of that. The heat drained out of me, the pressure released. And suddenly, all my feelings changed. The tasks didn't vanish, right? The workload didn't magically change, but I did. I was enveloped in love, encircled in it. I was insulated by it from this outside world. And in that place, my energy returned too. Bam, just like that. I went back to my work and continued doing the same things I was doing before, but there was joy in the story now. I could see the other side of it. I wasn't leaking anymore. I knew where I was. I'd come home to love. And what struck me later, and what made me write this for today's talk really, was this. And for me, this is where it really gets profound. First of all, love isn't something that we have to earn in any given moment, right? It's not something that we have to create. It's not something that we have to win. It's already there. And it's just waiting for us to call attention to it. It's there. And if the love between two people can bring that kind of change in a moment like that, it can flush chemistry right out of a person's body, restore coherence. For me, bring myself right back into a state of peace. Well, imagine what that's pointing to, you guys. That's just between people. Because that love between people, that's not the source, right? That's the doorway. That's the window. That's a peek at what the love on the other side is like. This is love in the third dimension, fleshed, embodied, relational, right? The love of that which we call God, the supreme being, the creator, mother, father. Wow. And that love is beyond comprehension, it's beyond comparison. And yet it stands to reason that it's just as near, just as available. More so, even, because we're made of it. And we're the ones getting in our own way of it. So something changed for me in that moment. That moment of falling into love, or the realization of being inside that space of love. The existence of love and being held in it. And that phrase, for the love of God, well, it changed for me. It stopped being a cry of frustration. And it became a recognition. At the beginning of that day, it meant I can't take this anymore. But in that new moment, in that moment of being held in love, it meant something entirely different. It meant I'm already inside what I'm asking for. I just need to call it forward and remember. I wasn't asking God to fix my day. I wasn't begging the universe to remove the pressure. And I wasn't demanding relief from the outside world myself. That's not what I needed, and that's not what the universe would have given me anyway, is it? I'd just become too far removed from love through fear or stress or whatever that mechanism was until I wasn't. And because when we're fully contained in love, real love, like lived love, nothing is actually missing. We're whole already, just as we are. And the chaos doesn't disappear, but it loses its authority, right? The noise doesn't stop, but it no longer defines us. And the pressure's still there, but it's no longer personal. And that's when it becomes clear that for the love of God was never meant to be a curse. It's a reminder. It's an expression that we're not abandoned, that we're not alone or falling or failing, that we're held. We're held by one another in community. We're held by spirit. We're held by a field of intelligence and care that's far more spacious than that moment of grief or overwhelm. And when the attention rests there, on that love from God, even briefly, our energy gathers again, our chemistry settles, and our clarity returns. And it's not because everything has changed, but because we've come back into alignment. This is what faith feels in the body. It's not certainty or answers. It's just a quiet yes. It's a deep exhale. It's comfort, a remembering and a knowing. And maybe that's what this phrase has been trying to tell us all along, that everything is for the love of God. So here's what I want to offer you. Not something to believe, not something new, not something to add to your already busy lives, right? We've got enough in our lives as it is already, but something that we can return to. Because the truth is, we don't need more information. We just need a way to come back to ourselves when the pressure hits. And the bold truth that I want to leave you with here is one that we've already heard, of course, and that's that we're not meant to live outside ourselves. We're not meant to be in constant defense. We're not meant to carry the world alone. And love is not a reward for things done right. Love is an environment. That's the space we're supposed to be in, to function in. And so when we hear ourselves thinking out loud for the love of God or whatever other colorful statements we might put there, let's let that be a cue and not a complaint. It's a cue to come home, not to be out there. It's a cue to gather our energy, not to let it leave. It's a cue to remember that we're already held. And from this place, we can do anything that needs doing. So let's arrive there together. I'll bring us into a brief meditation. If you'll join me, just allow your body to just be. Nothing fancy. Settle into your seats. Nothing to adjust. There's nothing to fix. And let your breath find its own rhythm. Easy and natural. And now gently become aware of this truth. This truth. You exist within love. There is no reaching. There is no asking. There is no hoping that it arrives. You're already in it. And now imagine, if it helps, that you're resting within a living vessel, a vessel of spirit, a loving field, a womb of presence, a vast, intelligent embrace. We're not above it. We're not separate from it. We're within it. And this field has no edge, no beginning, no end. And just allow yourself to float in the weightlessness of it, in the safety of it. This is the same love that holds galaxies, constellations. Becoming aware of our heartbeat now, feel how it's already synchronized with that field. How this field moves through us and breathes with us. We're not holding ourselves, we're being held. And if an image arises like a cocoon or an embrace or a soft light, a sense of warmth, let it come. The field does not require imagination, only attention. As our awareness settles here, notice how effort dissolves and the mind softens. And our bodies remember what they already know, that we are complete. And that even the places where we feel resistance or uncertainty are included here with us, supported, belonging. There's nothing outside the circle. Just take a few breaths and feel the quiet intelligence of this space, the beauty and the symmetry. And let it become familiar, normal, accessible. Put a pin in it. You can bring this back with a single breath or pause. And remember that we never actually leave this field. We only forget that we exist within it already. And then we remember again. And when you're ready, gently bring your awareness back into the room, carrying this knowing with you, and gentle confidence that you're held in love. I'll turn it over to Madge for our offerings.
Thank you for that service, the message. That was really, really good. All right. So for our offering, if you get the gift ready for the home center, put it between your hands. We'll give it a blessing. And as we prepare our offerings for the home center, let's hold it in our hands and charge it up with the energy of alignment, generosity, and sacred intentions. We know that we are part of the greater circulation of good and that our gifts will multiply for the highest healing, growth, and service to us and our community. As the basket comes around, please fill it with your blessings, and we thank you for your generosity and continued support of our good works. And so it is. All right. And then we've got a PayPal and QR code on the basket if that's helpful. All right. So my sharings today, while that's going around, I have two sharings. John gave me one that's Welcome January. I love it when you give me those poems. But I'm going to share a story first. This one I just read today, and ironically, I had no idea what Jerry was going to talk about. And I just love it when spirit works this way. So this is just a little short story about a woman. She wrote this. She said, I start each week with a nice sized to-do list. As a freelance writer with different clients, I want to make sure my week is neatly organized. I don't like my projects to overlap. I don't know what that's like. But it's a nice idea. I'm reminded of, take a diversion from the story, I'm reminded of this gentleman that worked, when I worked at the hospital, he worked in IT and he had projects. So his desk had nothing on it. And when he worked on a project, he'd go to his file cabinet, pull out that folder, put it on his desk, and that's all there was. He wouldn't take any phone calls. That was the one thing he did. And I thought, how does anybody get in? How do you do that? Then when it was done, he'd fold it up and put it back and bring out the next one. And that was the only thing on his desk. And I thought, oh my goodness. And yeah, me who had a thousand things like you coming at me at the same time, it was like, I can't even imagine what that's like.
Oh, for the love of God.
Exactly. Yeah. Running the front desk of HR, I had lots of things coming at me all the time. Anyway, so this person is continuing to write. I use an online calendar and a written calendar. I add my meal planning and household chores. These are the followed by the outliers on the list, such as oil change, veterinary appointments, and teeth cleaning. That's my plan, she says. And then there's reality, the reality of what the week actually looks like. It's just more like ordered chaos, and I feel crazy. So this week, she had a last minute deadline crop up. She took on a project, not realizing how it would shift the rest of her week, and their car started acting weird, and they were down to carrots and ketchup in the refrigerator. And she wasn't sleeping well. And she said, I was no longer running my life was running me. And things were about that were planned, and the realization that things rarely go as they're planned. So what she came to in her mind and her heart in working through this was to learn to trust spirit in her days. And all of them, she said, especially the ones that don't go as planned. She says, I want to feel like I'm in control, but spirit reminds me that the abundant life is not found in my well-planned expectations and calendar dates, but in relationship with source. I'm grateful that in those wild and crazy moments of life that I can walk with spirit beside me and rely on faith that everything is happening as it should. So I thought that was quite appropriate for your experience this week. So I also want to share Welcome January that John shared with me. I just love these poems. Welcome January, crisp and new, with a silver morning kissed by dew. You breathe in hope through frosted air, a quiet promise everywhere. The year stands open, clean and wide, with dreams reset and hearts untied. Old worries fade like distant rain as gentle light returns again. You teach us pause, you teach us start with steady steps and softened heart. So welcome January, rest and clear, the doorway to a brighter year. Thank you for sharing that. I love that. Yeah, thank you. All right, so for our closing prayer and closing our broadcast, as we bring today's service to a close, let us take each moment with us, that personal message that Spirit brought to us and whispered into our hearts. May we feel connected to that which is greater than us and feel restored. And may we be recommitted as a pillar of peace and hope in this world and be an example of what we want to see in the world around us. Let it be so. Amen. All right. So thank you, and thank you to our friends online.